everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 12 most anticipated spring releases for YA books in 2016. Did that make sense? I don't know how to word that, but you get what I mean. So I'm wearing a hat because I've had this hat for a really long time and I hardly ever wear it. I just like to find opportunities when I can wear the hat, so that is why the hat is presently happening. I might not wear it the whole video, I don't know, it probably looks really bad, but we're just gonna deal with it. So basically today I'm going to be talking about the YA books that I'm most excited for that are being released from April to June. So since it's already April 11th when I'm filming this, some of these might be out already, most of them aren't though, so yeah, it's basically April, May, and June. All those releases are what I'm going to be talking about today. Now usually I only do my top 10, but there were so many good ones that I had to do 12. So these are all in order of publication, and the first one is The Glittering Court by Richelle Mead, which I am lucky enough to have an ARC of. Yay! Thank you, Penguin Random House. I'm so excited to have it. I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna get to it. So this book actually came out on April 5th of 2016, and it follows Adelaide, who is a young girl who's pretty well off, and she is being forced into a marriage. So in order to escape this, she's going to the Glittering Court, which will be offering her a new chance at taking control of her destiny in a new land. But for other girls who go to the Glittering Court, they're poor girls who are being turned into proper ladies. So Adelaide has to hide her true identity from the people that she comes to love in the Glittering Court, and it's all about her struggles trying to do that and trying to kind of come to terms with what's happening to her in the Glittering Court, and really just trying to hide who she actually is while trying to also take control of her destiny. So it's a really interesting premise. It sounds like it's kind of a Victorian England-esque thing, which I absolutely love Victorian England, so I'm really excited for this. I love the whole idea of kind of like finishing schools, and I think that's kind of what this is, so I think it's going to be really great. The next book is The Land of 10,000 Madonnas by Hattemer, and this is coming out on April 19th of this year, and it follows 5 teens who are backpacking across Europe to fulfill the mysterious dying wish of their best friend. So I think that this sounds like an amazing premise, and I love books that deal with travel, especially in Europe, because I feel like you don't really get that much. Like, you get road trip books, but you don't get a lot that are going through Europe. So it sounds really, really cool. There's lots of little quirky things that seem to happen in this book, and it sounds really amazing. I love the idea of the friendship and the whole mysterious thing, and the travel. Everything about this book sounds like it's going to be great. Next is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, which is coming out on April 26th of this year, and this is the highly, highly anticipated conclusion to the Raven Cycle Quartet, which is a series that I absolutely love. It follows Blue, who is this girl that kind of finds herself really entwined in the world of the Raven Boys, who are these 4 boys that are on this quest to try and find this mysterious Welsh king. It's really this crazy story that's super quirky, way unique, and just ends up being beautiful in the end, and I am so excited, but so sad that it's going to be over, but really excited to read the last one. I have to read the third one first, but I'm excited. Next is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and this is coming out on May 3rd, and this is the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas, and this series is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Actually, I found out recently that it's a retelling of 3 stories: Beauty and the Beast, Tam Lin, which I guess is a Scottish fable, and the something East and West, the Sun East something, Sun and East and West, that's the other one that it retells. It really turns the story of Beauty and the Beast into a huge fantasy that really brings fairies into it, and it seems it's a really cool story. I loved the first one, and I'm really excited to see where the series is gonna go. Next is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, and this is also coming out on May 3rd, and it follows a politician's daughter who has to move in with her dad after a huge scandal has happened. So it's just her struggles trying to deal with having to put on like this front as a politician's daughter when there's this huge thing that has happened. And I love Morgan Matson. I haven't read a book of hers that I haven't liked, and I'm really expecting to love this one, and I'm super, super excited for it because I just think she is a fabulous author. She's one of my favorites, and it's just going to be great. I just know it. Next is Traitor Angels by Blankman, and this is also coming out on May 3rd. It's going to be a really big day in the world of YA on May 3rd. You see what I did there? It rhymed. I did it. Anyways, Blankman is the author of one of my favorite duologies, and that's the Prisoner of Night and Fog duology. And this is another historical fiction, but this follows John Milton's daughter, who is helping him to transcribe Paradise Lost by day, but at night he's like teaching her to sword fight, and she thinks that he's kind of hiding things from her, and she's gonna get involved in kind of this thing that's bigger than she is. And of course, that is what ends up happening, and she's kind of put out of her comfort zone and has to fight I don't know what, but it sounds like a really cool kind of historical fiction fantasy sort of deal. And I think it's a really interesting premise because it's not like a normal historical fiction, because it deals with a really famous writer, and you don't really get that often. So I think it's really cool, and I'm very intrigued by it. Next is The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Adhieh. I am probably still saying her name wrong, but whatever. And this is also coming out on May 3rd. So this is the second book in the Wrath and the Dawn series trilogy. Not sure how many books there are going to be, but it's a retelling of Arabian Nights, or 1001 Nights. I always get that wrong. And the first one was absolutely amazing. BookTube was going wild over that book when it came out last year. The writing is just so fantastic. Like, she just has such a way with words. It's so lyrical and just fabulous. So I'm super excited to read her next book, see where the series is gonna go, and I think it's gonna be fantastic. Next is Wild Swans by Jessica Spotswood, and this is the last one that is coming out on May 3rd. And this book follows Ivy, who for years in her family, all the women have died young and tragically. So her mom left because of that. But then her mom mysteriously reappears with 2 young daughters, and Ivy is like, what? And it's just kind of the story of her dealing with that. I think the whole premise of having like this tragedy that happens all throughout her generations of family is really interesting, and kind of seeing why that happens. I don't know if it's going to be a fantasy sort of deal, but Jessica Spotswood is the author of Born Wicked, which I really loved. I really thought that book was just fabulous, so I'm really excited to read this one. It's very different than Born Wicked, but I think it could be really cool. Next is Highly Illogical Behavior by John Corey Whaley, and this is coming out on May 10th. And this one follows an agoraphobic who hasn't left his house in 3 years. And this girl, she's trying to get into the second best psychology school. She's keeping it realistic and going for the second best rather than the best one. So she's trying to figure out how to kind of one-up herself from the other applicants. And she decides to make the main character her project and try and get him out of the house and to make him feel better. So I think that seems like such an interesting premise, because it's so many ways it's wrong. It can go wrong so many ways, and it's just such a bad idea, but it seems like it's going to be really interesting. And I have read John Corey Whaley's his most popular book. I can't think of what it's called right now, Where Things Come Back. I didn't really like that one, but I think that this one has a lot more potential for something that I would enjoy. Next is Wanderlost by Jen Malone, and this is coming out on May 31st. And this deals with a sister relationship mostly. So this girl's sister, she gets sick, or something happens that she can't go on this trip that she was supposed to go on anymore. So her sister pretends to be her and goes on this trip where she's working as a tour guide for a group of senior citizens who are touring Europe. But before she even gets to the first stop, things go completely awry. She starts falling for the tour company's son, which is a problem because she's pretending to be her sister, and it kind of is really affecting her relationship with the sister. So I think this sounds so cool, because I could just picture like a teenager leading this group of like little old people through Europe, and I just think the premise sounds absolutely adorable. But I love the idea that the sister relationship is at the forefront. I think this book has a lot of potential to be really, really great, and I'm hoping that it lives up to that potential. Next is Every Exquisite Thing by Matthew Quick, and this is also coming out on May 31st. And this follows a girl who has been a dutiful student daughter. She's just kind of the model person, the model girl that everyone just wants their child to be. But she ends up getting a book from, it's a cult classic, and she gets it from her English teacher. And she ends up befriending the author of this book, who is this troubled poet, and he's really just this mysterious writer, and it kind of turns her world upside down, and she starts kind of rebelling, and I think it sounds like a really interesting premise with the whole troubled writer. I love that sort of thing, and I think it would be interesting to kind of see how this book affects her and how like her relationship with this author develops. And the final book is The Cure for the Common Universe by Kristen McKay Heidicker. I can't say that name at all. And this is coming out on June 14th. And it follows a boy who has been committed to video game rehab right after he has met a real life girl who was planning to go on a date with him. So he's trying to figure out how he can still go on a date with her while he's in rehab and how he can make it work. And it just sounds like it's going to be super quirky but super cool, kind of in the vein of Ready Player One with all the video game stuff, and I think it sounds like a great premise. So those are all of my most anticipated releases for spring. I will be doing my summer one soon-ish. This is kind of later than I wanted it to be up, but I've been super busy lately, didn't get the chance to film it, so sorry that it's kind of late. But yeah, let me know if you are looking forward to any of these or what releases you're looking forward to, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!